Hey guys, I am Stuart Breeding, Master Trainer here at Studio 2 in Nashville, Tennessee, and I want to talk to you today about what I believe to be the most destructive form of exercise you could possibly engage in: running. Okay, I know I opened Pandora's box with that comment, but here are four main reasons why I truly believe running is just the most destructive form of exercise that you can possibly do. The first is fundamentals, or lack of fundamentals, or understanding technique. The second is dysfunctional movement patterns in your body that you probably don't even know that you have that will end up in injury. The third would be running is incredibly catabolic, or the loss of muscle tissue due to the high intensity or prolonged high intensity of the activity. The last would be frequency. It's putting all of those things together and then continuing to do it over and over. So we're going to look at those four things in a little bit more detail. All right, guys, the very first thing. Let's say you are absolutely hell-bent on running on a daily basis. I haven't been able to talk you off the cliff. It's something you feel like you got to do. Now, here at Studio 2, we don't believe in running for any more than 2 minutes at a time. I want our clients to be highly efficient at running for about 2 minutes or a 400 meter. So when we run, we're looking at shorter distances. I want them to be better sprinters, and we're looking at, a range up to about 400 meters and getting better times in those zones. But let's just say you're hell-bent, you're going to do it, you believe that you want to run, you enjoy it that much. The first thing that you need to do is invest in a running coach and also a gait analysis. Running is very technique-oriented. There is a specific way that you need to be running for your body type, and no two people are the same. And I truly believe that not everybody is biomechanically oriented to run, especially at long distances. I have short twitch muscle fiber, or fast twitch muscle fibers. I'm good at running short distances, but long distance just aren't good for me biomechanically. I'll never be great at it, no matter how hard I try. So if you're going to do it, you really feel strongly that, man, I got to run, I love it, but I want to do it the correct way, hire a running coach, get a gait analysis, and have them start working with you on the form and function of your gait. So dysfunctional movement patterns are much more common than you may think. Probably 9 out of 10 people that I work with have some type of dysfunctional movement pattern, and this is one of 4 reasons why I talk them off the cliff of continuing to run, and why we rarely do it here at Studio 2. So let's talk about the functional movement of the body first, and then we'll talk about the dysfunction. A functional body should be moving on one foot and then the other, whether we're walking or running. As we strike the ground, energy is transmitted through the leg, through the kinetic chain, the ankle, the knee, and into the hip. Now, the faster we're moving, the more impact that strikes the ground, the more need for stability in the muscles that are surrounding the joint. But here's the problem. This is rarely happening. We live in a culture where we're sitting a lot, we're in the car, we're at the office. A lot of the muscles that are surrounding the joints that should be providing this stability just aren't doing their job very well. And that starts on the inside of your body and works its way out. So this is why we see the shoulders pronated forward. We see breaks in the spine, the upper spine, called kyphotic. Head position, we see feet pronated and turned out, and especially the knees. So when you're watching this film, I guarantee you probably see the knee moving inside and outside. If the knee is moving to the inside, this is called valgus. If it's moving to the outside, it's called varus. What we should see is that the foot plants, strikes the ground, the ankle is directly above the foot, the knee is above the ankle, and the hip is above the knee, and it's a straight line. What we usually will see while you're running is this swaying, this valgus or varus, where the knee is moving inside and outside. The best way to determine if you have this is to do a single leg squat or a single leg lunge to determine. Stand on one foot, load your body weight on top of the leg, and try to at least come down halfway and see what happens. If your knee is moving to the inside, once again, that's valgus. If it's moving to the outside, that's varus. Neither are good. Now, without working with you, it would be impossible to determine exactly what is not firing correctly, what's doing its job, what is not. It's kind of a detective kind of situation for a corrective exercise specialist to track down and find out exactly what's going on and what's causing that issue. But in either case, if it's happening, let me show you a little bit with my two hands, my model here of what is happening with your knee under load. So a functional knee should be moving like a hinge in this direction, okay? So when I'm striking the ground, the knee or the femur and the tibia are coming together, and in the middle is meniscus. The meniscus is absorbing the shock of the impact. Surrounding that knee is connective tissue. If you're striking the ground and what we see is this valgus varus, you're slowly grinding away the meniscus in your knee. The #1 orthopedic surgery in America these days is a meniscectomy for this very reason. Now, not only are you grinding away the meniscus, what's happening to the surrounding connective tissue around your knee as it's making these internal and external rotations that it's not designed to do? It's a matter of time before you wear that knee out. It's not uncommon to see total knee blowouts from consistent running with dysfunctional movement patterns. To correct those dysfunctional movement patterns, you have to be doing corrective exercise, flexibility training, and also SMR, self-myofascial release or trigger point therapy. So you need to look for those dysfunctional movement patterns, and you gotta get a hold of them. You gotta get after them, because if you don't, it's a matter of time before you end up with a serious injury. Next on the list, catabolism. You hear us talking about this a lot here at Studio 2. Catabolism is when your body is using muscle tissue as a fuel source. It's the last thing in the world that you want to happen. The technical term is gluconeogenesis. It's when your body is using or converting a non-carbohydrate fuel into a carbohydrate or glycogen. This is the fuel that your body wants at high heart rates, whether you like it or not. If it's not in your system, your body is going to make it, and it's going to make a large percentage of it from muscle tissue. If you are continuing to lose muscle tissue, you are depressing your metabolism. You're depressing your ability to burn fat, folks. The last thing that you want to happen is to lose that muscle tissue and your ability to burn fat, especially at rest. Most of the caloric expenditure that's coming from fat metabolism is not going to happen in the exercise session. It's actually happening at rest. The more muscle tissue you have, the higher your metabolic rate, the higher the amount of body fat that you're burning. If you're doing activity that is decreasing the amount of muscle tissue on your body on a consistent basis, you're digging yourself into a metabolic hole that can be really, really tough to get out of. So if you're finding yourself plateaued, you can't get off that last 10 pounds, you can't figure out what's going on, this is what's going on, folks. Running can be incredibly catabolic, very destructive on your metabolism. Last but not least, frequency. Chances are, if you are running, you are doing it a lot. You're probably doing it every day. Every time I turn around, 90% of the workouts that I see done in local gyms around town, they have people on a treadmill 20 or 30 minutes out of every single hour. So what happens to your body when we take all the previous things, the trifecta? You don't have a gait analysis, you don't have good form while you're running, you have dysfunctional movement patterns, and you're in a catabolic state, and you're doing it day in, day out. This is when the destructive nature of running really takes its toll. When you keep doing it for prolonged periods of time, it's a matter of time before you're going to get injured. You've burned off a chunk of muscle tissue, you're in a metabolic hole, you don't know how to get out of it. So you have to be very mindful about the exercise choices, what you're doing, and how you're doing it. Once again, remember, the metabolic benefit of training in shorter duration at high intensity intervals using resistance training by far outweigh hours and hours and hours of running. I am Stuart with Studio 2, and thanks for watching.